Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tosin Opeoluwa. In today's episode on the moments of growth and transformation, I will be talking about one crucial question that somebody asked, that how do I know that this person is going to eventually hurt me? Okay. There are several things and several ways, several red flags that people ignore in every relationship, almost every relationship, because we think that we love this person. Unfortunately, for many, and I will say this boldly, that love sometimes is not enough to sustain a marriage on the long run, because there are so many things that the other person or you or both of you would do to one another that will make you feel like, oh, does this really worth it? Does staying in this relationship worth it? And that's why I always encourage people in relationship to be friends. Spend some time in the friendship zone, spend some time in knowing one another, because when you know one another, it's easier for you eventually to overlook some mistakes of your friend. The Bible says friends love it at all times. So without further ado, I'm going to dive into 5 major things that will help you to know if this person is going to eventually maybe break your heart or not. Remember, they don't write it on their forehead. But of course, there are several things that will help you to know. And number one is value system. We were born in different homes, we were raised in different homes, and people have different values. People have norms in their society. People have culture, and culture has a way of shaping us, shaping our values, our dispositions, our world view. And these are very critical in relationships. Say for example, if you marry someone who does not value monogamy, and you look around and you actually see that his parents or her parents, his uncles or her uncles, they all have 2 wives. They came to your party, you invited them, and they bring in a side chick instead of their wife. I mean, that's a red flag. And I'm not saying that there's a tendency that some people will be different from their family members. Of course, people can be different. Christ actually made a difference in each and every one of us. Like, but what if? I don't know who is watching this video or who is listening at this time. So what if you are not maybe a Christian, or maybe you don't believe in such? So what am I saying? You need and let me also remind you that if you are not a Christian, I encourage you to think about where you want to end or spend eternity. Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except your Son. I encourage you to draw close to God, because He will draw close to you. If you marry someone who is not a child of God, definitely, if they are a child of the devil will permanently live with you. So you are going to have a lot of trouble. Just a digression. Let me go to the second one. The next one is giving and responsibility. I think it was Pastor Bimbo of blessed memory that said, if you marry an irresponsible man, there is also a tendency that you are irresponsible yourself. That might be true, because when you marry someone who is irresponsible, there's every tendency that you make them irresponsible. Why did I say this? Say for example, you are someone who gets a lot of money from your parents or from your uncles or from your brothers and sisters. And so when you have a need, you are so independent minded that you don't think you need anything from any man. But yet, this man takes something from you without giving you something back. You really don't, work to earn your money. If you look at most ladies that some people see as gold diggers, I will not necessarily call them gold diggers, because many of these young ladies, they work hard for their money. Hence, they do not want a man who will be a liability unto them, but someone who will be an addition, who has something they are also bringing to the table. Have had men saying things to women like, "What are you bringing to the table?" I'm going to ask you to ask them, what are they bringing to the table? But then you must know that you must be a woman of substance for you to be able to ask such question. Such question requires a woman that is full of wisdom and capability for taking responsibility for their own life. If you've learned to take responsibility for your own life, it's going to be hard for you to comfortably mingle with a man that does not take responsibility, because you will place a demand on them. And when you place a demand on them, they will fall off if they are not able. Over time they will walk away once you start placing a demand on them. And one of these things, I actually learned it from my one of my uncles, and he said something like that. He said, when you ask a man, when you start asking him for something, you will really know if he's a man who is generous and responsible. His response to your need will determine his ability to be responsible, to respond to you when you are in need in the future. The next one is emotional intelligence, and it looks like being responsible as well. It looks like the ability to respond also. A lot of people does not have this thing we call emotional intelligence, right? That's why you see that when you are down, when you are not happy, they don't understand. Everything seems flat, And by the way, I really like us to, check out for signs and symptoms of autism in some men, or even in a woman, so that sometimes when they can't respond emotionally, you will understand why they can't respond. So there's every tendency for a man who is not emotionally intelligent to hurt you, because that's the truth. They don't think twice. They act on response. They act on how they feel. They don't act from the mind. They don't act from thinking. So they will sleep with anything and everything, because that's how they feel at the time. They are not emotionally intelligent. So it's very essential that you think about some of these things before you really go ahead with that person. If you think you will not be able to stand this, you need to let them go before you even say, "I do." The next one is the ability to keep you. And it looks like the last one also, for a lot of men who will eventually not cheat on you. They have the tendency not to sleep with you before you get married. And I'm not talking about men that will not sleep with you but sleep with other ladies in outside, and then when they marry you, you discover that, oh, okay, so they were actually sleeping with other people out there. This is very, very, very essential. It's very important that we choose wisely. That's the word that I'm going to use. The next one is spiritual. If a man is not spiritual, you don't have a defense. As a woman, as a family, the spiritual authority in the house is the man. God made the man the head. So when you call somebody the head, that means they define so many other things around. Because why? It is the eyes is in the head. So the eyes can see far. But what happens when the eyes is always sleeping, when the eyes is always closing? They are not praying, they are not leading aright, they lack vision, they lack mission, they are not spiritual. There's going to be a problem. They will break your heart over and over and over and over again. So what should you do if you have this, these five things? What you value is not what they value. They don't like giving, they are not responsible, they lack emotional intelligence, they always want to sleep with you even though you are not married, and they are not spiritual. What will you do? I will say, number one, address it. Because sometimes people don't know what they are doing until you call their attention to it. So address it. That's the first thing to do. And the next thing to do after addressing it is seek help. Go to a counselor. Seek professional help. Meet with a professional. If you meet with a professional and it doesn't work eventually, then go your way. It's better for you to break a relationship and be happy all your life than to be in a relationship and be sorrowful all your life. I hope that helps somebody. I'm about to sleep. I just want to, get this off my chest. Anytime I feel this way, I think God wants to speak to someone. And that's why I take the pain to record this at this time. Have a wonderful week. Bye for now.